The night before the funeral, I heard it, a whisper, soft, fragile. "Uncle." I froze, every nerve screaming. The word was faint, but it carried weight, like breath forced through trembling lips. My nephew's coffin stood in the center of the parlor. Flowers surrounded it. A child's picture frame rested on top, smiling eyes that would never open again. He was 5. Gone from illness, they said. I walked toward the casket with hands that refused to stay steady. Each step echoed against silence. When I touched the lid, there it was again. A sound. Not words this time. A muffled scratch. Alive. The thought tore through me like fire. My knees buckled. I pressed my ear to the wood. Something moved inside. And in that moment I knew. This wasn't grief. This was deception. I ripped the lid open. The room smelled of lilies and formaldehyde. His small body lay still, pale, but his lips trembled. His eyes shifted under the thin skin of his lids. Alive. Drugged. I staggered back. My mind split in two, half relief, half terror. Relief that he hadn't left this world. Terror at what it meant. If he was alive, someone had wanted him dead. The illness, the sudden decline, the rushed burial plans, none of it fit. My sister, his mother, had cried without tears. Her husband never left her side. Their words at the hospital had been too smooth, too prepared. And then the will. I remembered overhearing fragments, insurance payouts, assets transferred, debts erased. Grief had blinded me, but now clarity cut sharp. This wasn't loss, this was betrayal. I didn't confront them, not yet. I closed the coffin gently, masking the truth. My nephew's faint breaths became my secret. I started digging, quietly. The hospital records were shallow. Diagnosis, respiratory failure. Cause, congenital weakness. Words designed to deflect questions. Yet the attending physician had signed the report a day before the boy died. Insurance paperwork surfaced next, filed instantly. His father's signature neat, confident, too confident. The payout was staggering, enough to erase years of gambling debts I'd once overheard whispered through walls. I found the pharmacy slips, sedatives, prescriptions not for a child, but written under his mother's name, purchased days before his collapse. Every trail circled back to them, my sister and her husband, parents who should have protected him. Instead, they plotted his silence. Each night I returned to the parlor alone, checking the casket, slipping water through a straw to his lips, whispering promises he couldn't yet hear. They thought they had buried him, but I had already started digging them. The evidence crystallized into a shape I couldn't ignore. Medical forgery, insurance fraud, premeditation. But the moment of truth wasn't paper, it was flesh. On the morning of the funeral, I returned before anyone arrived. I lifted him again. His eyes opened, faint, glazed but conscious. He saw me. A tear slid down his cheek. That was enough. When the guests gathered, I waited. I let my sister sob in her black dress, her husband grip her hand like a grieving statue. They stood before the casket, waiting for closure. Instead, I stepped forward. My voice was steady, cold. Before we bury him, let's make sure he's truly gone. Gasps rippled. They stared at me as if I'd lost my mind. But when I opened the lid, the room cracked apart. His small chest rose, shallow, trembling, alive. My sister's scream wasn't grief this time. It was exposure. Her husband turned pale, stumbling back. The truth wasn't whispered anymore. It was screaming in silence. Chaos erupted. Guests lunged forward, some crying in joy, others recoiling in horror. I stayed still, watching them collapse beneath the weight of their crime. I pulled the papers from my coat, the forged reports, the pharmacy slips, the insurance claims. I laid them on the coffin, one by one. "You killed him on paper," I said, voice low. "You buried him in lies, and you almost succeeded." Their faces broke. My sister collapsed against the pew. Her husband tried to speak but choked instead. The police were already waiting outside. I had called them hours earlier, timing it perfectly. When the officers entered, the room fell silent again. My sister's eyes found mine, pleading, desperate. I gave her nothing. They were led away in cuffs, their wails echoing through the church. And the boy, my nephew, was lifted from the coffin, still breathing, still alive. Later, when the church was empty, I stood alone by the open casket. The flowers wilted, the air heavy. I thought about betrayal, the kind that comes not from enemies, but from blood. A mother's hands meant to cradle, a father's voice meant to shield. Instead, they had planned his grave before he was gone. I felt no pity, no sorrow left for them, only clarity. He will live, they will rot. The truth had been whispered to me in the dark. I had listened, I had acted, and as I closed the coffin for the last time, I understood something final. The deadliest betrayal isn't when strangers plot against you, it's when family digs your grave.